Hello and welcome to the RotoWire Esports Show. My name is Ethan Sexton, and here with me, as always, DFS Chan. Chan, how's it going today?
Good to be back, Ethan. How are you?
Yeah, doing well. Yeah, we missed out on doing a video yesterday. Sorry about that, guys. And usually we wouldn't go 2 days into the past to cover a slate, but we're not going to cover the entire slate from 2 days ago. But we will cover one game that Chan wanted to bring up. He wanted us to bring up the fact that during Victory 5's 2-1 loss to Suning during Game 1, PZX, Victory 5's jungler, forgot to take Smite, Chan. And as you know, as a jungler, pretty important to have Smite.
Yeah, he took the blue buff and he still was level 1. I mean, the fact that he forgot to get the right summoner spell, which is important in the game, like you said. I mean, they lost that game 15-1. So, at least to say that, he should have focused more. And I mean, V5 didn't really have a chance, in my opinion, even though they got a game off in that series against Suning. Maybe that was a game changer. Maybe they could have won Game 1. I don't know. But obviously, this V5 last in the LPL standings, that shows you where their mind is at. So.
Yeah, he got fined 1 month's salary, I saw today, for doing that. For everything I read it wasn't unintentional. It's pretty brutal when your team is 0 for the season, right? 0-13, and your jungler forgets Smite in Game 1. Yeah, I mean, like you said, they got the win in Game 2. It was only their second map win of the entire split. Mm-hmm. So maybe they could have won Game 1. I don't know. It's doubtful. I think it's more that Suning losing a game to them is the worst part.
Yeah.
But yeah, jumping over into today's slate, Chan, we saw 2 pretty one-sided sweeps. Kicking off the slate was OMG taking down JD Gaming in 2 games. This was a pretty low-scoring series with OMG picking up 13 kills in each game. But OMG, a much-needed win for them. It actually vaulted them over JDG in the standings up into 8th place at 8-6. So a big win for them in terms of getting back into a playoff spot. JDG are now on the outside looking in at 7-7 in 11th place. And it's the same thing with JDG. It's if Kanavi doesn't get fed and carries, they just lose.
Yeah, I agree. It's as simple as that. I mean, literally the entire split, the summer split. I mean, if Kanavi can't carry the game, and obviously in order to do that, he needs to get a kill or 2 at the beginning. And in my opinion, he's still like one of the top 3 junglers in the LPL. But, it's a team sport, team game, and he needs some help from his teammates. So, yeah, like today, I mean, he just didn't, all of his teammates didn't really fare well in their lanes. There's not much he could do. In Game 1, literally in the first 5 or 10 minutes, all he could do was just farm. And he tried to go to the lanes to gank, but he just couldn't do anything because, they just couldn't do it. So OMG took care of business. I mean, like you said, I mean, these games and starting this week and next week, I mean, these games are very critical, especially for those teams in the middle of the pack, for the playoff push. So, these games, every single one of these games will mean a lot to these teams. So there's going to be a lot of motivation factor for some of these teams that are still in the playoff hunt. And we can talk about that for each matchup too. So.
Yeah, for sure. Just big win for OMG. Would be cool to see them make the playoffs, so not a bad thing necessarily. Chan, in the other series this morning, now this was a series you really needed to have your long stack from today with BLG taking down Invictus Gaming 2-0 in straight sets. BLG, 40 kills across the 2 games, so that's a number we like to see, right, in a sweep. Game 1 wasn't too straightforward. Actually, IG got off to a hot start in Game 1, and I thought my prediction I made in the Discord of the IG miracle run was going to keep coming to fruition here, Chan. They got off to a great start. That top trio of the Shais, Jun, and Rookie really got off to a great start in Game 1, but then they crashed back to earth and end up losing Game 1, and then Game 2 just wasn't even close. BLG stomped them 22 kills to 5. So a good win for BLG as they're up in 7th place, and IG still, they're not eliminated quite yet from the playoffs, Chan, but it's looking pretty unlikely.
Yeah, I don't think IG will make the playoffs. And like you said, Game one, they could have won easily, but I think there were some spots throughout the mid game where I saw some miscommunication and not everyone was on the same page. Obviously, every single one of them involved a shy, trying to make a play and just not on the same page with his teammates. So I don't know whether it's his fault or his teammates' fault, but the answer will depend on who you ask. But yeah, I think IG is not going to make the playoffs, and BLG looks solid. They had a solid game plan, and actually, when I ran the numbers yesterday playing DFS, I had BLG in my cash lineup, and I just feel like a lot of people saw the IG game, the day before, and I feel like some people had overreaction to IG's form. But I think BLG is a solid team this split when they have a good game plan like this. And we talked about this about IG, but IG is a very volatile team. So, they really blew that game one, and then game two, they just tilted, I feel like. So, yeah. So I feel like BLG is going to make the playoffs too. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think so. IG don't deserve to make the playoffs, so it's not looking likely, but they really don't deserve it either. So it's going to be kind of weird seeing them on the outside looking in because it's been a long time. But the way they've played, they just don't deserve to be in the playoffs this year.
Yeah, I agree.
This split, I should say. Chan, let's go ahead. We'll jump into taking a look at tomorrow. LCK is back here with Thursday coming in. So we kick things off with a matchup between Afrika and Damwon. You would think, name value wise, it'd be a little lopsided. But Damwon Kia, 8-5 in third place in the LCK. Afrika only one win behind them though, Chan, in sixth at 7-6. So it's a little closer than we might normally think with these two teams matching up. Damwon Kia minus 360 favorites. That is the second closest series on the slate. Damwon Kia are about the third or so price team. They're kind of all over the place in terms of pricing on DraftKings, but they are a little bit cheaper than Top Esports and RNG, certainly. So how do you see this one shaking out, Chan? I said it's close. I tried to make the case for it being close, but I still think you got to give the edge to Damwon Kia.
Yeah, I think Damwon Kia has an edge, but I just feel like this is going to be a closer matchup than the odds indicate. Like you said, on the standings, I mean, they're only a game apart, but also the fact that Damwon Kia has been in not too great of a form. I know Afrika has been surging quite a bit, throughout the split. So yeah, I think it's going to be a very close matchup. Actually, Afrika is more dominant in the laning phase, just based on the metrics, like the lane control percentage compared to Damwon Kia. And I just feel like, Keen, we talk about Keen a lot, and I know Khan on Damwon Kia is pretty good, but Keen has been, lights out for Afrika, and he's been the best player for that team. And I think he's going to go, match up well against Khan. Now, Damwon Kia has been struggling a lot just because of their bottom lane hasn't been performing as well, Ghost and Barrel. So I just feel like, they tend to struggle against an LCK team that has a good bottom duo. So I was looking at how well Leo and Lahens has been playing. And yeah, they've been playing pretty well. I just feel like it's going to be a very closer matchup than people think. I think definitely Afrika has a shot to upset Damwon Kia.
Yeah.
A lot of people will try to fit Damwon Kia, I think, for cash lineups, but I don't know if I will go there because I just feel like I like the other favorites on this slate a lot more, including Hanwha Life and the other LCK matchup. So yeah, so we'll see what happens. But this game also is graded for DFS purposes, graded as the slowest game amongst the 4 games on the slate. So really, there's really no reason to play Damwon or Afrika for GPP purposes, in my opinion. So.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. I would stay away from Damwon just because, like we've both said now, this is actually a closer series than people might think because this isn't the Damwon Kia from last year or even last split, right? They're struggling quite a bit more, and Afrika are on the upswing a bit. But that's what I was going to ask you. Is Afrika even really worth looking at as an underdog because is the game just going to be way too slow? And that's what it sounds like. So it's almost like. You're not comfortable using Damwon, and you're not really willing to use Afrika because even if they win, they might lack the upside to really get it done.
Yeah, Afrika on their own has the slowest pace amongst the 8 teams on the slate. So, yeah, I mean, even if Afrika upsets Kia, they're not going to score well. I mean, they have the 0.52 combined kills per minute in their wins. So even if they win, I mean, they're going to score low. They, tend to play the slower game when they win. So, yeah, I just feel like Afrika would not be a good GPP play, in my opinion.
No, definitely not. Chan, let's go ahead. We'll jump over to the first game in the LPL tomorrow. We've got RNG going up against Thunder Talk. This is by far the most lopsided series on the slate, with RNG clocking in at a minus 1,200 favorite. RNG are the most expensive across the board tomorrow, except in the mid lane where Knight is more expensive than Yukai, who comes in as the starter instead of Cryan tomorrow. RNG have been great lately, rapidly rising up the standings after their awful start. They're at 7-5 in 9th place, and Thunder Talk 2-10 down in 16th place. I think they're bringing in Yukai because why not? Give him a little playing time. A little harsh on Cryan because he hasn't been playing bad, in my opinion. But if you're going to mess around, this is the matchup to do it in. This feels like a 2-0 stomp for RNG, but any hesitation paying up salary-wise for RNG tomorrow?
No, I'm smashing RNG all the way. I just feel like Thunder Talk has no chance today. All the metrics that I was just looking at right before the video, I mean, literally every single metric favors RNG. There's not a single metric that favors Thunder Talk. So, but yeah, I just feel like Xiao 7, who's coming in at top instead of Lang Shi, for Thunder Talk, I don't think, it's going to make that much of a difference. Obviously, he's going to go up against probably one of the best top laners in the world in Xiao Hu now, converted from the mid laner. But yeah, so Yukai, I mean, I think it's a good spot for him to even score well. I know, like you said, Crying hasn't been playing. I mean, has been okay. But Crying also had the highest kill participation percentage for that team, surprisingly. So we'll see what happens in terms of like the gameplay, how Yukai is going to play, whether he's going to play a roaming champion like Crying does often to help, the other lanes, top lane and bottom lane. So, but I just feel like, it's going to be an interesting dynamic to see how he fits in because Crying, played more of a supportive role in the mid lane. And that fit the style of, his teammates. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, I mean, even for DFS purposes, this is the highest. This carries the highest combined kills per minute metric combined. So yeah, I mean, I'll definitely smash. I'll definitely have a lot of RNG players here. Thunder Talk, I mean, it's interesting. I mean, we talk about Xiao Peng as one of the top junglers in the LPL, even though he's stuck on a bad team. But I just feel like against RNG, it's going to be tough for him to make a difference like that. So,
yeah, if this was the RNG that was starting the split after they came back from MSI, maybe we would be like, throw a TT lineup in. Why not? RNG are looking pretty crappy. But RNG have been dominant of late, getting back to their best form. And I don't think really, I think we both would prefer if Cryan was in, but we don't think that them dropping down to Yukai is really going to make much of a difference for Thunder Talk. So I'm not too concerned about it. I think this is a pretty great spot for RNG, and I would definitely be comfortable with paying up for them tomorrow.
Yeah, and speaking from the LPL playoff push standpoint, yeah, I mean, RNG is in the middle of the pack along with Top Esports and OMG that we just talked about and BLG. So this is a must win for RNG, and Thunder Talk has already been mathematically eliminated from making the playoffs. It looks like so. Yeah, I think RNG definitely has more motivation. So that's a plus for RNG's chances today. So
yeah, so we're not just to recap, we're not concerned about RNG at all, and we're pretty comfortable with paying up for them. We think they're going to score pretty well in this matchup. The second LPL matchup, Chan, this one's the most interesting one to me on the slate. We've got LNG taking on Top Esports. So you mentioned that IG had won on yesterday's slate, and that was, of course, a sweep of Top Esports coming out of nowhere for their rescheduled game that got rescheduled from Sunday's slate. LNG are 10-4, Chan, third place in the LPL, still looking really strong, playing really well. Top Esports 7-5, they're in the 10th place position, which is the last playoff spot. Top Esports are the favorite here, minus 240. It's the closest in terms of the odds on the slate. So it's the closest in terms of the odds, but Top Esports are extremely expensive on DraftKings, Chan. So I'm personally not that excited to pay those DraftKings prices on Top Esports because I think this is a matchup they could pretty easily lose. I do like that they brought 369 back in for Qingtian, but it's his first series of the split. He hasn't played since the spring. I don't know. I mean, LNG have been pretty good this split, Chan, pretty good recently. Top Esports just lost to IG, who we saw get smashed by BLG this morning. A lot of this stuff is adding up to make me really like LNG here tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah, to note that, I mean, LNG has already secured their playoff spot.
Yep.
So obviously, that's good for them, but I don't know if that will, make them less motivated to play well against Top Esports. But yeah, like you said, Top Esports definitely has all the motivation to win here for the playoffs push. But yeah, I mean, I definitely think just based on the metrics, I mean, LNG definitely has a really good shot to upset Top Esports. Like you said, 369 is starting up top. Who knows if he's going to get benched after game one? I doubt it if they lose. But there's that risk. And also Juo, he's in at support instead of Yuyanja. So obviously there's the substitution risk there too. And I just feel like, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if those two players will make significant difference. And like you said, I mean, 369 he's been a very good player throughout his career, especially for Top Esports during the last season.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I just feel like going up against LNG and Ale in the top lane, 369's counterpart, Ale has been lights out, for LNG as well. So I just feel like that matchup might be a wash. And I might even favor Ale just because 369 doesn't have any in-game experience this split. So I don't know how he's going to look, in the first 5-10 minutes or so. And especially in team fights, that's going to be tough for him to get integrated, in team fights and team communication and all that. So, yeah, I mean, LNG definitely has a really good shot. If I were to make a prediction, just because on the motivation and the fact that Top Esports tends to show up against, big teams and good matchups like this, I like Top Esports still. I don't know if I will necessarily have a lot of Top Esports given the pricing, like you said. But yeah, I like Top Esports to win if I were to make a prediction here. And 2-1 probably.
Okay, yeah, I think the combination of most recent game played where they got smashed by IG. Mm-hmm. I think the combination of strength of opponent and a really good LNG team, and combination in the fact that Top Esports are so expensive makes them a really good GPP play. So even though I'm not super excited to pay up for them tomorrow, I think they're going to be low owned because of those three things in combination. And, we have seen a ton of upside with this Top Esports team. So I definitely think they're viable in GPP. I'd be very scared to use them in cash at those prices, though.
I 100% agree. Yeah. And also LNG is a great GPP play just based on the kill upside. Top Esports gives up a lot of deaths in their losses. So, they try to fight their way back in the game when they're behind. So if LNG is dominant, there's going to be a chance where LNG just, it's constantly in team fights against Top Esports with the lead and obviously racking up a lot of kills that way. So, yeah, I think LNG makes up for a good GPP play today.
Yeah, so we like that game we like both sides for GPP. Yep. A little bit hesitant on using Top at those prices in cash, though, for sure. LNG make for some nice salary relief in your lineups. This series could definitely go either way. So that's the premier one on the slate, I think. I mean, Afrika Damwon looks pretty interesting too, honestly. But maybe the most exciting one for DFS, besides RNG, because they feel like a lock, Chan, is this last LCK series with DRX taking on Hanwha Life. DRX, they're still bad, Chan, in case you're wondering. 1-12. 10th place in the LPL. They're eliminated from the playoffs. Not that they were going to get there anyway. DRX, they still have a shot. They're 5-8. They're in 8th place. It's not a great shot, but they definitely need this one. They definitely need to win if they want to keep their playoff hopes alive. So, Chan, what I'm curious about is what do the numbers say for this matchup in terms of pace? Because it feels like Hanwha Life should probably 2-0 or at worst 2-1. And I'm wondering if you think this Hanwha Life team could be a sneaky one for GPPs if the numbers say that they're going to get a nice pace boost here.
Yeah, there's definitely a pace boost, and this is definitely the LCK matchup to target for DFS purposes. But like you said, I don't know. I mean, DRX is such a bad team. I don't know if I'll have any DRX now. The combined kills per minute metric for DRX is not very good. I mean, they tend to play on the slower side, especially over the throughout the split. Now, in the last month or so, I mean, in July, after they switched their bottom lane and the mid lane, they've been playing faster. And obviously, Hanwha tends to play on the faster side for LCK standards. So yeah, I mean, this is the marquee matchup for DFS purposes. I think in the LCK, I definitely think Hanwha will win at the end. DRX has been really bad. Now Hanwha, yeah, like you said, Hanwha will get a huge bump, I think, just because they're playing against DRX, because DRX has been, giving up a lot more deaths in July games. So yeah, but the one thing I'm worried about Hanwha is that, who's going to start at jungle, right? And then also who's going to start at top lane. So because Morgan started in the last game, and then Willer has been starting in the last 2 series or so. So, but yeah, I mean, that can be anybody at jungle. It can be, Dudu or Morgan, and could be Willer or Arthur, and then I forgot, I'm blanking on the third jungler, but yeah.
Johan,
there you go. So, it could be anybody. And it's the second LCK game, technically, and we're not going to get confirmed lineups. So there's that risk right there. But yeah, I definitely think Hanwha is going to win. And obviously, Chovy is going to be a very popular, player to own today in a lineup. But as he should be, in my opinion. So I definitely have Hanwha here. I think Hanwha and RNG will be a popular cash stack if it works somehow. I haven't tried the lineups yet. Given the pricing, it may not work, but we'll see what happens there. But I definitely have Hanwha beat DRX here.
Yeah. Like you said, I think really the only hesitation is this the lineup we're going to get? Willer has started both series since he's gotten promoted. We got a question about this in the chat about how confident we are in the LCK projected lineups. Willer has started the last 2 series, so we're fairly confident he'll start again. Same with Morgan. He's been starting over Dudu, but there's no guarantee. So just remember that for the HLE lineups. I mean, I think the Afrika and Damwon one should be as expected because that's what they've been playing with. We'll also know that one if you wake up early enough and get on Twitter before that series. And I think, not that we want to play DRX, Chan, but I think the DRX lineup is what it's going to be as well on the projected lineups page. But there are a couple question marks at least about that Hanwha Life one. But risk could come with reward because, we do think this is a pretty good spot for them to take down DRX and score fairly well. I mean, one thing that's certain, right, is that, Chovy is the guy you really want from DRX or from HLE, and he's 100% going to start. So there's no worry about Chovy starting.
Exactly. And, they're also in the spot where they need to make the last, minute playoff push, really. So, HLE has all the motivation to try hard, and DRX, in the last in the last place on the standings, they're mathematically eliminated. So, it's going to be more of a free game, in my opinion, like, freely playing. And I don't know. I mean, I feel like HLE, is going to score pretty well today, I think, just against DRX. So,
yeah, I definitely agree with that, man. Well, Chan, thank you as always, man. Anything else you wanted to bring up for tomorrow's slate before we go?
No, I think it's going to be an interesting, I think it's a good cash slate, just because RNG and HLE, in my opinion, should win without any issue. I definitely think the other 2 matchups, even the Damwon Kia and Afrika matchup, I think that's going to be more of a toss-up than people think, just given the bad form DK recently and then good form, for Afrika recently. So, yeah, so I just feel like, those other two matchups will be interesting for GPP purposes, but I'm definitely going to smash a lot of RNG and Hanwha Life here. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I like that. I think that sounds pretty good. If you guys have enjoyed this video, please feel free to give us a like and subscribe to the channel. Keeps you up to date on when we're going to be going live. And of course, if you can't catch us live, you'll always get the recording on the channel. So please go ahead and do that. If you want to check out RotoWire, you can go to rotowire.com/try. Get yourself a free 10-day trial, no credit card required. And then you can follow that up by going to rotowire.com/chat. And that'll give you instructions on how to join the subscriber-only Discord server, which is a great place for conversation. You get access to every sport if you do that. So it's a pretty good deal. Definitely worth checking out for those 10 days at minimum. And then you can decide if you want to continue your subscription or not. Chan, thanks as always, man. And we'll catch you tomorrow for Friday's 4Gamer.
Sounds good. Thanks, Ethan.